Welcome back, everybody, to another Division 1 Sunday night action here in Zoom Racing League. Round 7 brings us to the fast-paced Red Bull Ring here in Austria. Red Bull Ring, as it's now known, is located in the small city of Spielberg, surrounded by the beautiful Styrian Mountains. I mean, look at that, what a view. Alongside F1, it also currently hosts a multitude of other race series, such as MotoGP and DTM. Fun fact is, Niki Lauda is the only Austrian driver to have won a race here on this circuit, in F1. 10 corners only make up this simple rapid track. Some people probably call it 9 corners now, due to turn 2 being a little bit of a controversial one, I guess. Plenty of elevation changes, overtaking opportunities, 3 DRS zones. Division 3, Division 2 had quite an action-packed race for us. Tonight, it's short qualifying followed by a sprint race. I believe our only one this season we're gonna have. So, quali followed by sprint, followed by the full race as usual. And so these guys are qualifying for their sprint racing so far. Nobody's put a banker lap as of now. We're all on the warm-up laps, although Palmeiras has gone really quickly already, putting out around 104.1. That's a banker lap being a 104.1. Either that's really fast, or because that's what was pole, I believe, for Division 2. So 104.1 was practically pole. I know it was pole for D3. Labib had been going pole in Division 3, and already Palmeiras is being dropped down by Brendan Bechtel, by Marc-Olivier Bastien. Now all those two were two drivers that were fighting alongside each other all race last weekend. Only 4,000 separate them between P1 and P2, and we're only just about 2 minutes into qualifying here. A couple other drivers are putting in their times. Nicolas Pichet, reserve drivers in the Alfa Romeo, probably reserving for Freddie Rizal. We wonder why. So he's got a 103.8, about 4 hundredths quicker than Marc-Olivier. So, we'll keep an eye on our drivers. Here, everybody's probably going to go at least 3 laps. It's a very short track, so drivers are able to really go for push laps here. Quentin K goes on provisional pole, goes 8 hundredths quicker than Nicolas Pichet. So that's quite faster than him, given those circumstances for an outlap. And already we're seeing Magnussen Cube into Williams going out on intermediate tires, just getting the feel for the track here. So we don't expect his time to be competitive for the moment. It's a solo broadcast, by the way, for me tonight, once again. And it might be for the rest of the season, because we're going to go on board and look at him right now. Actually, he just got into the pits, but Nathan Doan, an interesting move has happened in McLaren between Division 1 and Division 2. So here's the wrap-up. Nathan Doan, my co-commentator in Division 1, now has become the number 2 seat in McLaren, currently sitting at a 104.9 in his qualifying, and replacement of Major Castleman. Major Castleman was maybe underperforming a little bit in Division 1. Had a little bit of a better performance in Division 2 last night. I think got himself P6 or P7 in the race, one or the other, if I remember correctly. So now my Major Castleman will be racing the rest of the season in Division 2. So it's an interesting move. Nathan Doan, I think, wants to prove himself in Division 1 and wants to push McLaren further up in the points. He'll be racing alongside Cam Bourne. We know them to get along pretty well. Nathan Doan speaks highly of Cam Bourne, as he's done so a couple times on broadcast. And now he'll be racing alongside him. So, we'll keep an eye on the youngster, Nathan Doan. Brand new driver in Division 1. See how he's able to do in the highest division in this league. Most definitely a competitive one. And also a new driver. We got two replacements. Let me just look at my notes real quick. Yeah. So Nicolas Pichet is reserving in Alfa Romeo, as I mentioned. We have Nathan Dona as a new driver, and the Ferrari currently sitting P5 at a 104.157. Dougie Falcons, who was surprisingly not there yesterday. He's supposed to be racing as of now in Division 2 as a full-time seater for Red Bull in replacement of Logan Dukes, but currently is a reserve driver in Ferrari and has got the 5th quickest time so far. A little bit before halfway into the qualifying session as of now. Another new driver, long-time ZRL driver with us here, Jack Fletcher. I mean, Haas hasn't had a second driver in a couple races now since the exit of Sean Moriarty. Now we've got Jack Fletcher back in Division 1. I think Jack may be a little bit rusty. We'll see how his Sector 3 goes. He's pushing on a fast lap currently. Just going around lap turn 9 and turn 10 here. Alexi might be good to the 105s. So 104.6 so far. Actually, 104.6, actually pretty good. So 104.6, just a 1,000 quicker than Aaron Allmeyer. So we know Jack Fletcher raced last night in Division 2 as a reserve for Alpine. In order to get his legs stretched out a little bit. Hasn't really been on the game that much so far this season. Now seems, willing and wanting to race for Haas, taking up the challenge in Division 1, which is not an easy task. But, having raced alongside Jack Fletcher myself, I know this is a guy that when he gets the time to practice and he is in on it, he can be quite a fast driver. And then there's Broadcaster's Curse as he gets a little bit on the gravel, spins his car around. Luckily, that was on his end lap, so no damage for him in this kind of situation. Yeah, I think we're going to see those kind of moments from Jack. I think, I don't expect high points from him right away in his first race. You might want to see him make a couple mistakes, and that is absolutely normal for a driver who's not, tuned into on this game that much. But he's definitely been putting the time since he got recalled and signed by Haas, thanks to Anand Trivedi. New pole sitter currently in the Mercedes. It's Hudson Poole at a 103.7, just about 300ths quicker than Quentin K, who is currently on his outlap, a little bit halfway through his outlap. 8 minutes and a half to go, so most drivers are probably going on their second quickest lap, qualifying lap. Their third lap should come probably around the 2 minute and a half mark, 2 minute 30 mark. Most drivers will be coming out. A couple drivers wanting clean air might be going out for their last fastest time at around the 3 minute mark. So let's get on board with Quentin K. I'm going to shut off my mic for a second. Let's put up the game volume a little bit higher, listen to that engine, and on board with a qualifying lap with Quentin K. Yeah, Quentin K doesn't seem satisfied with his lap, so that is back into the pits. No second fast time for him. He had invalidated it, so he's still going to sit at a 103.8. Let's see if we could catch another driver. I think we just saw Camborne cross the line, increases his time to P8 at a 104.1. So 104.1 was basically, like I mentioned earlier, the pole position in Division 2. That same time is just about good for top 10. So it just shows the difference in pace between Division 2 and Division 1, and how Division 1 is really a high performance league at this point. With these 18 drivers we have here, we've got a lot of drivers who have been quitting the league as of late, and some of them who are not replaced for lack of reserves. So a couple divisions lacking a couple drivers here, and this is the case for Division 1. We're at 18 out of 20 drivers. You know, if you know some guys who want to race, let them know. Got some spots open in ZRL. Eric Cavallo pushes Camborne down into P10. He goes P9, 104.0. Next across the line, I think we're going to catch Nathan Doan. He's on his fast lap. Well, he might be an end. That would be an end lap, yeah. He is not on a fast lap currently. I think he's improved his time a little bit, but not enough to make a significant dent. He's going to be going into the pits. Behind him, I see Stelios Repas, who's got a 1:11 time so far. So let's see if he could get a better time. Most definitely he will. It looks like it's going to be a 1:04.4, and that is only good for P16. So a 5-second better pace. Big difference between his first lap and second lap. But P16 nonetheless. There's a Red Bull around the corner. I think that is Brendan Bechtel. He's in the pits. Behind him, a Haas. That is Quentin K. Setting himself up for his fast lap. Cuts the corner nicely here. Keeps the momentum going into turn 1. This is turn 2. Technically, this left hand here. Turn 3 up the hill. He's already almost at 10th down on his time. That would make give him pole position again. Let's see if he could keep it at the end of sector 2 so far. Almost a whole full 10th quicker than his usual time. Looks very smooth. Oh, this time his rear seems to slip a little bit on the right hander of turn 4 here. Maybe that cost him some time. Let's see how neat he goes around turns 6 and 7. He's still on the green, still improving, but just barely. He's definitely lost a little bit of time. He might try to gain it again in turns 9 and 10. But nope, back into the pits. So we saw the mistake. We see that he could gain a full 10th in turn 1. He took that corner very cleanly. However, by turn 4, looks like his rear is kicked out a little bit. Maybe trail braking a little too harshly, and his rear seems to kicked out, and now he is back into the pits, as is Jack Fletcher, as is the Ferrari of Marcel Past. Now we are in the waiting game. 3 minutes 25 to go in this qualifying session. As mentioned before, most drivers will be looking to come out starting at the 3-minute mark, trying to get maybe their warm-up lap done early. I think a driver in the back is about to be coming out of the pits. Yeah, we're seeing Aston Martin coming out. Is that also another Aston that looks like a Mercedes? So Maxime Beaulieu is going to be the first one out. He wants clear air, absolutely. He's going to take his time probably to get past or get heat into his tires. Hudson Poole, currently having pole position, is also doing his warm-up lap a little earlier than expected. Most drivers will be coming out just about in a couple seconds, 2-minute 40 mark, 2-minute 30 mark. But that means there's going to be a lot of traffic. So drivers who don't want to be stuck in traffic, like Maxime Beaulieu, well, they're going to go out a little earlier. Both Red Bulls are going out at the same time. Kyle Blevins in front of Bechtel. Ryan Newton is next to be out in the Mercedes. And behind him, it looks like it is Bastien, Repas, Aaron Altmaier, Quentin going back out, Jack Fletcher going back out, and everybody's just coming out of the pits at the same time. So that is the moment to go. Bit of short shifting here for Maxime Beaulieu out of turn 3. Haven't discussed setup as of now. We're going to discuss it probably during the sprint race. Nor have we seen the standings. We'll try to do that real quick once the qualifying is over. It's Maxime Beaulieu currently 2/10 quicker on his lap at a 104.2. Wouldn't improve him that much, so you hope for him that he's going to be able to increase or decrease his lap time here in turns 9 and 10. Goes around 9, here around 10. Smooth, but keeps it quite inside. He could have gone a little bit wider here, and that's going to be 104.2. That's good for P13 on his end. Let's see the next driver to come across the line. I believe I'm seeing Nathan Doan coming across, but I think that is his starting lap. It is Eric Cavallo, I believe. So normally we should be seeing Hudson Poole, but I think Hudson Poole already went. I think Hudson Poole's done. He's invalidated his lap. He's used up his battery and has not improved on his time. At least not that I've seen so. And Kyle Blevins gets P4. Great lap from him, 103.869. That time is going to be dropping down behind. It's Marc-Olivier Bassin, 103.718. That is your new pole sitter currently. Let's see if Quentin could do better than that. He does. That's a 103.6. Almost 1/10, a full 10th quicker than Marc-Olivier Bassin. That will be pole for Quentin K. There's more drivers coming across the line. Saros Repas, Magnussen Cube. Will they be able to improve? Magnussen Cube goes to P9. Stelios Repas, I did not see where he got. He got P12. Cam Bourne across at 11. Nathan Doan currently sitting P17. He's invalidated his lap, and that's done for him. And you have also the Aston Martin. Eric Cavallo's coming across the line. That's P7 for him. I think that's going to be it. It is. It absolutely is. Kyle Blevins already done his lap, as has Ryan Newton. Quentin K, ladies and gents, the Haas driver, a full 10th ahead of Marc-Olivier Bastien for pole position. Bastin's P2, Hudson Poole P3, which is relatively good. We're used to seeing Hudson Poole start, around P5, P6, P7 areas. So P3 for him is really good. Nick Piché, P4, Kyle Blevins and Brendan Bechtel, both teammates. Great performance by Kyle Blevins. Look at that lap, 103.86, that's 9 for him. Out qualifies his new teammate, his one in his race debut in Zero. Brendan Bechtel is qualified P6. Eric Cavallo, look at him, just 1/1000th behind Bechtel. Marcel Paz, Dougie Falcons, both Ferrari teammates qualifying together 8 and 9. Magnussen Cube, Cam Bourne, Repas, Paul Mariage, Maxime Beaulieu in P14. Aaron Altmaier, so both Aston Martin teammates are together. Ryan Newton, Nathan Doan, and Jack Fletcher are 17 and 18. So putting that in perspective, we've got a couple seconds ahead of us. If we look through the constructors' standings, it's a Mercedes domination, and in large part thanks to Hudson Poole. However, Williams, Red Bull, Alpine, and even Ferrari are in the mix for an interesting battle there between the constructors. McLaren are improving as well at 121 points, and then Haas is in the midst of fighting with McLaren in P6 and Aston Martin in P8. There's only 5 points between McLaren and Aston Martin, and the bottom drivers, or the bottom constructors, being Alfa Romeo at 89 points and AlphaTauri at 63. Real quick glance at the standings, no surprise there. It is Hudson Poole still in P1 and having a really healthy lead on the championship. There's only 4 races left, including this one. Eric Cavallo, Cam Bourne, Marc-Olivier Bassin, Marcel Paz, Quentin K, Kyle Blevins, Ryan Newton, Aaron Altmaier, and Magnussen Cube round up your top 10. A lot of drivers have stopped racing, and we're now only 18 drivers currently. But so far it is a Hudson Poole lead for the championship. Jason Pelter in the chat. Damn, F123 is crazy. I agree, Mr. Pelter. Haven't seen you on track in quite a while. That is the Gator, as we once called him. longtime veteran in this league. You know, there's a Division 1 spot open. Sprint race underway. Everybody on mediums as it should be. 5 lights are up. The lights are out. The sprint race in Austria is underway. Let's take a quick glance real quick. What are the tire strategies? Actually, everybody's on mediums except for Cam Bourne and Nathan Doan. The McLaren boys going on softs, and they're going to go in the long run for the softs, trying to make them work out there. So far, it's a really clean start to the race, especially compared to last season's race, where it was absolute chaos in turn 1. So far, it is clean. Ryan Newton seems to have dropped a couple positions, so maybe I had a little bit of an incident there. Quentin K is still in P1, down in turn 4, followed by Bastien. Eric Cavallo gains a position, just battling all over in the mid-pack. The mid-pack battles so far all across the divisions have been really, really interesting. And side by side, Dougie Falcons battling for the inside here in turn 7. It's a really risky moment to have an overtake, and Eric Cavallo drops to Dougie Falcons and Marcel Paps, both Ferrari drivers, using a little bit of teamwork there to get past the Alpine and blocking Eric Cavallo back behind him. And Cam Bourne also fighting side by side, 3 wide into turn 10. Paul Mariage, Cam Bourne, Stel Ripas. All 3 drivers are battling, going across the start-finish line. So far, not a lot of major position changes because it's been clean as of now. I think when DRS once begins to go, we're going to see the DRS train. Oh, is that Nathan Doan going completely wide and off track? I think avoiding a potential incident there with Paul Mariage. He looked like he was going to go right up on his rear there and possibly make contact. Now he's under fire by not 1 but by 2 Aston Martins, trying to make a move on him. Doesn't work. They don't get the push on him, and he's going to try everything he can, already really aggressive on his battery, to stay within the 1/10 of Paul Mariage. You want DRS here in this track. It is absolutely crucial for pace, for tire wear, for engine temperature, for fuel usage as well, and the fact that half of this track is composed of a DRS. You want to be in it as much as possible. The only person on this track as of now who wants nothing to do with DRS is this guy right here. Quentin K is currently sitting P1. Marc-Olivier Bastien behind him, just about 5/10 behind. He's closing in the gap because of the slipstream here. Quentin wants to break that toe as much as possible, as quick as possible, before DRS gets activated. Well, as of now, DRS is activated, and we're seeing the rear wing of Marc-Olivier Bastien open. He's gonna make a move. He doesn't. He's gonna play the patient game. There is no point, and this is where this race becomes very tactical, especially for the front runners. Bastien most probably will not be is not expected to make a move. He might make it. Obviously, drivers have made me lie a couple times on stream. He might wait it out, maybe even to the last lap, trying to make a move before making a move on Quentin K. He's obviously conserving his battery, but he's got to watch out. He's got Hudson Poole behind him, also working to overtake him with the DRS. He's got the slipstream as well. So if Bastien gets in a bad position, he needs to get on that battery to try to force a move on Quentin K. But for, making that move work will probably just benefit Hudson Poole. And you know what? Bastien isn't going to wait. He's got P1, clean overtake down into turn 3, got the inside up on the uphill. However, with DRS, a little bit of battery, Quentin K got the inside on turn 4. Hudson's going to try to make a move. A little bit of a squeeze there. It's clean for Hudson. He's still in P3, however. Tried to make a move. It didn't work. Bastien Poole, they were close to touching, but did not. And back into the lead, Quentin K goes. As we're seeing on the track map, looks like it is a DRS train from P1 down to P11, and then it seems to break off. So I don't know if there was a moment there with a couple drivers, or if it's just raw pace separating the drivers. But from Paul Mariage down to Jack Fletcher, that is another train happening there, and Jack Fletcher's falling off the pace a little bit so far, sitting in P18. Are we going to have a repeat performance to get on board with Bakary Bastien? Is he going to try to make a little bit of a move? No, he's going to break just a little earlier. Oh, goes wide. And who's on the inside? It's Hudson Poole. Hudson Poole on the battery, on the DRS as well. Both drivers have got all the tools they could use to make the overtake. Let's get on board with him. Down on the inside. A little bit of a light contact with Bastien there. He had the inside of the corner, and I think that's going to be an overtake down for Hudson Poole. The Mercedes driver takes P2. And the fact that both drivers, Hudson Poole and Bastien, were fighting each other for P2 and P3, Luck and Quentin K, who currently, I think he got on the battery a little bit, he's going to want to try to break that DRS toe, as I mentioned earlier. Back on the battery he goes. He's really going to push it, and you know what? It might work, it might not work. The fact that it's a sprint race, and that he might sacrifice a couple points to learn a strategy in regards to the full race, he might figure it out now that maybe this is a good idea to dump the battery. Maybe it's not. He hasn't broken DRS as of now on Hudson Poole. Sector 2 is going to be crucial for him. He wants to gain about 2/10 on him in order to make Hudson Poole not have DRS and ultimately leave him completely vulnerable. As of now, the interval is at 1.1, and indeed, that is 2/10 gained on Quentin K, probably from extra downforce in Sector 2 helping him out a lot. But now look at this time. It is going back down. Hudson Poole is just within DRS across the line. We're going to see him get it. Yeah, he does get it once again. And so now the front drivers are pushing a lot harder. Quentin K has got to be careful to not make himself vulnerable with the low battery. And I think he's just possibly have done that. And what is going on here? It is a symphony of penalties so far. Marcel Paps, Era, Paul Mariage, Nathan Doan, Stellis Repas, all in the same corner, all got time penalties at the same time. Maxime Beaulieu gets into P12, maybe P11. No, he gets into P12 in front of Paul Mariage. He does not have DRS to defend the Alfa Romeo driver. So let's get on board with these guys. He's on the outside, trying to do the switchback here in turn 4. He's got the better exit here compared to Paul. And that overtake is not completely done. It's going to be a tight squeeze from both drivers. The Alfa Romeo driver is going to fight it strongly, but look who goes through. It's Nathan Doan. And now there is contact with Paul Mariage. Stellis Repas is sadly a collateral damage victim from that incident there. Looks like no driver wanted to give space, and at the end ran out of track. And the biggest winner of this situation, despite on track, because obviously the time penalty kind of hurts him, is Nathan Doan. Real quick, is Hudson Poole making a move down in turn 3? He thought of it. He got real close to Quentin K, and that is not happening as of now. Repas has pitted into the pit lane and retired, so that is a DNF in the sprint race for him. I don't think he's catching all the cars in front of him within 4 laps, sadly. And I think he knows that too, so he's going to go take a break and come back fresh and ready for the actual race. And already 4 laps time, almost 3 now, as Quentin K is about to enter the final corners here in Austria. So it's a very fast-paced track, fast-paced racing we're going to have here tonight for the full race as well. So far, not a lot of crazy position changes if we go look at those. So far, the bigger winner in regards to positions claimed is Nathan Doan, who's started down in P17 and is now P13. And so if he's able to keep that position, he will be able to start the race a little bit higher up than where he qualified. So Stellis Repas DNFing basically confirms that he will start the race in P18. Side-by-side action in turn 3 here. Quentin K and Hudson Poole. Quentin's got to protect himself with all his might. And what's his might? It's his battery. And look at this. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 4. And Quentin K loses out in 2 positions on that corner. Maybe even 3. It's Nicolas Pichot who's getting aggressive on the battery as well. And a little bit of a bump. It was Quentin K. And Quentin K has lost positions. And there it is, Quentin K dropping down the order. He has spun after getting pinched from Nicolas Piché. He looked like he had the inside, but maybe have gone a little bit wide on that corner on the apex. And now we were looking at Bastien, Poole, Piché, a 1-2-3. Quentin K drops out of the points, and sadly for him, that is dropping down very far behind in regards to starting position for the next race. That is, sadly for Quentin, that is the story of his season. Absolutely great performance at moments, and unlucky moments, or trying to be too aggressive at times, or whatever you want to call it. But in those type situations, he tends to be losing out more than he's winning, and that is him in P11. Now it's same kind of action happening again. It looks like Marc-Olivier is trying everything he can to defend his P1 position, which is absolutely vulnerable. He's got a couple drivers behind him, actually a full 3 drivers. Look at the train, look at how close it is. Eric Cavallo and Marcel Paps, look at their side by side. It's Marcel Paps on the inside. He just had that kind of situation with Stella Strepas, and now it's another contact, and that looks like it was a bit of a contact on Paps from Eric Cavallo. I don't know if he pinched him going through that corner, and Marcel Paps also spins out and loses out a couple positions. We're starting lap 11, and the race is heating up very rapidly, probably as hot as some of these guys' tires are right now. Marc-Olivier Bastien is leading after an incident that's happened between Quentin K and I believe Nicolas Piché, who made contact, who was losing out a couple positions. Now it's Hudson Poole who's going to take the lead. He's trying to go on the outside on turn 3. Nicolas Piché is tightly behind him. A little bit of bumping here between him and Bastien. So far it is clean still. However, Poole doesn't have DRS. He's not even using battery, and he's able to defend it so far. Really interesting from that. He must have a really low downforce setup to be able to keep up with those guys. And Bastien still in P2. What I've completely didn't see it, I didn't notice. Brendan Bechtel, who started, I believe, P6, is now in P3. Podium position for him in this sprint race. Just got by Nicolas Piché during the last lap, and I believe Dougie Falcons is coming up on the inside of Eric Cavallo, and it is side by side, and Dougie Falcons is going to give him absolutely no space since he's got the inside of that corner, and now he's trying to defend both drivers trying to get by him, both Eric Cavallo and Cal Blevins. Hudson Poole dumping the battery, and he is in full defense mode, and Marc-Olivier doesn't have enough battery to follow him through so far. Let's see if Bechtel gets overtaken. Oh, there's some crazy move by Magnussen Cube. I don't know if that was exactly what he wanted to do. He found the inside in turn 3 ahead of Cal Blevins and ahead of Eric Cavallo. Cavallo was fighting Dougie Falcons for P5 and is now back in P8, now into P7 side by side with the Red Bull driver. He's fighting for those final few points available in sprint. Only the top 8 drivers will be getting points here. So far, it is Hudson Poole who's got 5/10 on the lead here, and I believe he will definitely get the win here, and he seemingly will. Around turn 9 and turn 10 he goes, and that is a win for Hudson Poole yet again. Bastien in P2, Bechtel in P3, Nicolas Piché P4, sorry, Dougie Falcons in P5, Magnussen Cube. What a race from him. I think he claimed quite a number of positions near the end of the race. 4 positions so far. Cam Bourne in P7. Quentin K is sadly the biggest loser in this race. Having claimed back a couple positions, but had dropped down quite further down the grid. We're going to see the rest of the grid in just a moment here. Here we go. And so, Quentin K is in 8th, Eric Cavallo 9th, Cal Blevins 10th, Marcel Paps, Maxime Beaulieu, Ryan Newton, Arnold Meyer, Nathan Doan, who's claimed a couple positions for P15, as has Jack Fletcher, P16. Paul Mariage is the last driver on grid in P17. Stelios Repas being P18 after DNFing in the pit lane. Well, I don't have a co-commentator with me. I don't have Nathan Doan to pop a juice box. But I'm going to crack open a cold one because, tell you what, being a solo commentator is rough on the throat. I got to have something cold with me. As I told one of the other broadcasters this week, the only reason I drink on the job is because Duncan cannot fire me. I have diplomatic immunity. Alright, it is a full dry race, as I'm seeing real quickly here. Yeah, full sun, full dry, no overcasting. So this is going to be an interesting race. We've seen a lot of action happening near the end of the race, of the sprint race earlier. A lot of position changes happening in the final 3 laps. Expect the same kind of situation here happening in this race. We might have to be a little bit tactical in regards to the pit lane. The undercut is very powerful here as well. However, finishing a race with the fresher tires could be advantageous as well, as long as you're able to stay within DRS of a driver in front of you. So we're going to see most probably a really interesting mix of strategies. I think the more popular strategy across the grid so far has been mediums to hards. We're going to see what these drivers are on. However, the red lights are up, and away they go. This time it's for real. The Austrian Grand Prix is underway. Looks like a clean start so far for everybody. Quentin K already claiming a position on Cam Bourne, and Cam Bourne actually dropping down the order a little bit, not having a clean start so far. And what am I seeing here? I'm seeing Stelios Repas in first for some reason on the grid, so I think I have a little bit of a either a desync or a glitch there. Oh, there you go. Looks like it's back in order. So Hudson Poole, Beckley, Bassin, Bechtel, Hidaki Falcons, Nicolas Pichet, Quentin Magnussen QP6, Quentin K, I believe, has claimed just a couple positions here. Looks like at the position changes. He's claimed 1 position. Calp Levins has claimed 2. Cam Bourne dropping down the grid a little bit. He's just get on board with him. He looks like he's fighting side by side with Eric Cavallo and Marcel Paps. Looks like all 3 of them are battling it out. And Cam Bourne is on the hard tires compared to the other drivers. We're also going to look at their tire strategies as of now. Look at this, Dougie Falcon is the only driver on the soft tires, so he could make it work early in the race to get in a good position for a potential race win. However, those tires are going to die out at some point. So let's see where he... Well, what strategy is he going to go for? He is on the battery aggressively already. Ahead, he's going to go on the outside of turn 3 in front of the Red Bull driver of Bechtel. Will he keep his position? Yes, he does. Makes those tires work, and he's got the grip. He's up in P3, and Paul Mariage already with a penalty. I didn't see what kind of penalty. 3 seconds for track limits, and we're on lap 2. I'm seeing some clear desync with Stelios Repas, saying that he's ahead by 1:08, although he's he's in P16, so looks like a bit of desync issues. I don't know what it looks like on track. I think he's... Can't tell if he's... No, it doesn't seem ghosted. He's racing, so... Just the timing boards that are a little off, but on the telemetry, everything is as it should be. DRS will be active as of now. As we've seen in the sprint race, Quentin K started dumping battery, trying to break that toe as quick as possible. Wasn't able to make it happen. So the question is Hudson Poole going to try to do a similar strategy, or will he play the patient game and potentially let himself get overtaken a couple times by Marco Ribasset and go back and forth from that? And we saw that last week in our last weekend's race in Monza between Poole and Bastet. Often they were switching positions on the long straights with the DRS and the slipstream, which is quite powerful here in this game. And so that's something we might see a repeat of tonight. Jack Fletcher has DNF'd. Now, wonder what has happened there. His AI still driving, so he has DNF'd out of this race. I don't know if that was a hardware issue or just not taking it, but that's not going to be any points for him. Sadly, we're only on lap 4 now. And so already a first DNF for Jack Fletcher, P18. That is done for him. Back up front, no position changes in the top 3. However, oh, actually there is. Hold on. I kind of switched over. And that might be a double position loss for Hudson Poole. Dougie Falcons got his nose in there. Wasn't able to claim the positions. And now Marc-Olivier went a little bit aggressive into turn 3. He's got the inside into turn 4. Will he be able to keep his position? I don't think he will. Hudson Poole went on the outside, had the better grip. And now Dougie's on the aggressive. He wants to take over Bastien and fight for that lead specifically there. He's got the tire grip to make the move work, and he could do it work. He wants to make it work sooner than later before his tires drop off. And so far behind, what do we say? We have Bechtel fighting closely, following closely. I think he's just waiting for his moment to make some overtakes happen. And Quinn and Kay as well, just behind Nicolas Pichet. So he was able to get past Magnussen Q, claims the fastest lap so far in this race. That's definitely not going to be final. That's going to be changed by the end of this race with the tire strategies being done. Marc-Olivier, is he going to go back on the inside? And this time, they're going to go 3 wide. Dougie Falcons wants to get on the inside, and he's unable to find space on track. Hudson Poole kind of cuts him off there. What does that mean? It opens the door potentially for Brendan Bechtel. He's trying to go 4th. He's going to go in P3 so far. He's got the inside line on the Ferrari driver. Nicolas Pichet sniffing it out, trying to see if he could find an opportunity for the overtake. He does not. And now that whole piece of action officially puts Marc-Olivier Bastien back into the lead in P1. Brendan Bechtel claims P3. Dougie Falcons losing out and probably is starting to have to wonder about defending more than attacking. We'll see how he reacts throughout the rest of the race, and all of that is being done with very minimum usage of battery. I think the one driver who's been the most aggressive on the battery usage is Dougie Falcons so far. All right, sorry for that moment. We have Hudson Poole, who claimed the lead once again, as you probably saw on the back screen. So prediction so far was correct. There's going to be a lot of lead exchanges between Poole and Bastien due to the DRS and the slipstream being quite powerful. I would say not only on this track, but on this game in general. And that being said, we're seeing a little bit of a gap being formed between Falcons and Bastien. Not enough for him to lose DRS, but maybe he's being forced to get on the battery. Now we're seeing it here. Nicolas Pichet is getting a little bit aggressive here. Is he going to try to make a move? He thought about it. He's used up a lot of battery power, Nick Pichet here. Will he go at it again? It looks like Bastien might be thinking about a move as well, as we're seeing up front. Yeah, well, those both drivers peaked a little bit on the inside, looking for a potential overtake through braking, but that is not happening. Let's go look further down the grid as the top 3 are battling. We're going to have a lot of battles as well in the mid-pack. It is a DRS train from P1 down to P12, although Cam Bourne and Marcel Babs look like they're closer to battling each other than they're battling the guys up front. And behind is Ryan Newton, Maxime Beaulieu, and Nathan Doan, who are fighting it out. Nathan Doan, the rookie Division 1 driver, after a switch between him and Major Castleman within the McLaren team. So far is P14, in a desperate attempt of making McLaren have a little bit more points in Division 1. Oh, and there's Aaron Altmaier and Paul Mariage. Looks like they got a little bit of a scuffle, and Paul Mariage, I think he got a bit too wide in turn 1 and got on the Sacha curb, got on the throttle, and spun out. No damage for him, But that is not the race that he wants to have here. And looks that looked like the AI was taking over there. That is some rage quitting Paul Mariage style. Alta 4. Seems like it is. He is done. Don't think there's going to be any safety cars here. Lap 8 of 36. It's early for DNF on the sidetrack here. A safety car could definitely change things, make things happen. And, you know, if a safety car is going to happen, I think it would be in the mid-pack because there's drivers fighting for positions all over. And once the soft tires start to drop or the medium tires start to drop compared to the hards, that's where we're going to see a little bit of a switch around on the grid. And Quentin K is now being a lot more aggressive, trying to overtake Dougie Falcons. And he does. He made it work for him, and he is now in P5. So Quentin, who at some point during the sprint race dropped down to P11, has worked himself back all the way up to P5 from that moment on, and is now looking at the rear of Brenton Bechtel. Still no lead changes in the last couple laps. Looks like Hudson, pure race pace, is keeping it up. And Bastien probably, yeah, both drivers are pretty high on their battery usage. Except for Nick Piché, a lot more aggressive, just like Dougie Falcons was. But now Falcons is probably looking at a soft tire starting to drop off. Small information here for Jack Fletcher. It looks like he got disconnected and the AI actually immediately DNF'd him. That is why Jack Fletcher, only 2 laps into the race, DNF'd and was not able to continue racing. Another position lost for Dougie Falcons. Side by side, he went with Eric Cavallo. And there's a bit of a battle in the back here with Dougie Falcons losing it to Eric Cavallo. He's on P7. Cal Blevins getting past Magnussen Cube. So Magnussen Cube also losing a couple positions since the beginning of the race. I think a total of 3 so far. And now we've got a Red Bull in P8. And yeah, Dougie Falcons, as of now, is looking a lot more behind him than he is looking forward. He was on the attack, trying to get up to P2 and P3. He tried it a couple times. Now his tires are giving away on him, and he's going to lose another position. You could tell he doesn't have the grip to get on the throttle early enough out of turn 1, and that is super important for the uphill sprint, basically, up to turn 3. And now Dougie Falcons has lost it to Cal Blevins, to Magnussen Cube. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a drag race between the two here. Let's see who's going to get out on top here in turn 4. Dougie's got the inside line. Magnussen trying to go on the outside. Keeps it rather clean, both drivers. And his Ferrari teammate, Marcel Paps, in P10 right behind, trying to make an advantage of this situation. And he's going to go on the inside on his teammate. And so Marcel Paps is on the inside of Dougie Falcons. This is a really tricky moment for the Ferrari drivers. What are we seeing here? Look like a Vettel versus Leclerc moment here, but it looks like Marcel Paps still on the inside officially, and now Dougie Falcons is going to the pits. So our first pitting driver, Dougie Falcons, and there's a sector yellow flag in the back. Who are we seeing? It looks like there was a moment between Stellis Repas in the back. Yeah, he's also going to the pits. I'm wondering if he's got damage, because that's early to go into the pits on hards. And so I would assume the front wing took some damage. I don't know what happened there out of turn 7 or turn 8, actually. Oh, that is surprisingly not... No damage. So just a switch of tires, unless he forgot to turn it on. And his wing looks intact, though, visually. And so Stellis Repas, odd strategy to go onto the mediums on lap 12. That would mean making it 24 laps on the mediums. I mean, I guess that's a hope and a prayer for a safety car at this point, because that is not the race strategy you would expect him to go for. back in the lead. It is still Hudson Poole, P1, dragging everybody with him with his DRS. Looks like, according to the track map, there's a little bit of a gap forming. It looks like it is DRS from him all the way down to Cal Blevins. And Magnussen Cube looks like he's still within DRS, but kind of losing it out a little bit. 5/10 is quite a lot. Did he even have DRS? I don't think he had DRS, actually. Yeah, so it is the first DRS strain down to Cal Blevins, and now Magnussen Cube finds himself vulnerable again, dumping the battery completely, and Marcel Paps might be gaining another position here by turn 4. Good defense there by the Cube. The Prism. Paps, Eruption as we call him, not scared to go side by side into turns 7 and 8. Has done it a couple times, both in sprint and in this race. So far keeping it clean and nice behind Magnussen Cube. Magnussen definitely under pressure here. I think he's climbed back into the DRS of Cal Blevins, and he has. His wing has opened up. Three-second time penalty for Iron Altmaier in the back there in P14 on turn 1. And Dougie Falcon's the quickest lap now. It's taking it from Quentin K. Looks like Eric Cavallo was ghosted a moment. I don't know if that was a disconnection issue or otherwise, but he still got it on P6. Nathan Doan getting past Maxime Beaulieu. Oh, it's a side-by-side action. Look at this. Beautiful racing from both the boys. A little bit of desync for Maxime Beaulieu, and that allows Nathan Doan to get onto the inside and claim the position on Maxime Beaulieu officially. So climbs into P12, and I think those two guys will be battling it out and duking it out lap after lap. It's a race only for them two so far. You know, maybe work on with each other to get the DRS, to get back into the race, getting into the back. I think there's Ray Newton that is there. Cal Blevins is dropping down the order. Why is that? He is in the pits. So he is lap 15 trying to make the first move here. A potential undercut that could be powerful. Lap 15 from the mediums to the hards. And so we'll keep an eye on where Cal Blevins gets back onto the track after the medium runners do their pit stops. And normally should put him, I believe, P7, maybe P6 in front of Era. We're going to see where that puts him there. As expected, Maxime Beaulieu got back in front of Nathan Doan. Trying to find mid-pack battles, but it looks like the top 5. Look at these guys. It's maybe a boring race for them. Hudson Pools has got to use a bit battery. He dives into the pit, so he's going to try to cover the undercut from, I would guess, other drivers, not necessarily Cal Blevins there. And so we're going to see Hudson Poole, Quentin K, Eric Cavallo, Magnussen Cube also, and it's a race in the pits. First one out is obviously Poole, with Bastien still in the lead in front of Nick Pichet, the two French Canadians in the lead of the race, followed by Brendan Bechtel in the Red Bull, who's kept it seemingly rather quiet so far in this race. He's just waiting for the proper opportunity to open it up and get a bit more aggressive. There's a three-way battle as Cam Bourne, and behind him he's got Marcel Paps and Ryan Newton. And I believe Cam Bourne actually got in front of Marcel Paps, actually, probably between turns 3 and 4. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there in turn 7. Now, is he the next driver going to the pits? No, he's actually on the hard tires. And so the 3 hard tire runners are going to be in the lead of the race temporarily, as Bastien, Pichet, Bechtel, all 3 drivers are into the pits as well. And so this is where we got to keep an eye on the undercut from Cal Blevins, because all the medium tire runners have completed their pit stops. And so Cal Blevins with the undercut strategy, let's see where that's going to put him. top three are coming out just across from him. He might be able to get some action a little bit there, but he's just behind Brendan Bechtel. So it does put him officially in front of Eric Cavallo, who in P13 is really not far behind Cal Blevins. And he's going to try to take advantage of the fact that Blevins, I don't think he doesn't have DRS. And so that's Era on the battery. Oh, Cal Blevins is helpless here. He can't do anything to defend himself, and he knows that he's got the cold tires too. Eric Cavallo has got a position all Cal Blevins. That's put him in P12, which would technically be, I believe, I would call that technically. My goodness, what am I observing actually? This whole board is upside down, and the undercut of Quentin K seems to have worked the best in regards to Bastien, Pichet, and Bechtel. Because who is officially in the lead? It's Hudson Poole. And once the tire strategies are done, it would be Dougie Falcons, who's a little bit early on the medium tires. He went from soft to mediums rather early, so really interesting call from Dougie Falcons on that one. And I think his medium tires are going to drop off. So it's basically Hudson, Dougie, and Quinton, who would be net P1, P2, P3 once the tire strategies are concluded. Dougie Falcons is actually going to push it hard enough to try to make an overtake on Hudson Poole. He goes through the outside. He's got the better grip. He's got the better speed. And he gets it. So that would be technically net P1 because you expect Marcel Paps, Cam Bourne, Ryan Newton, and Maxim Beaulieu to get back into the pits. Probably starting, I would say, this lap, lap 19. Oh, Marcel Paps is in. So he's starting he's covering the undercut from the drivers behind him. That's a good strategy call for him. He's going to end up behind that entire race train, though. He's going to end up P14, I believe, P13. So the pit strategies here, given the sizable DRS train, a lot of drivers have the much better pace because they're on DRS and following each other. Look at this. Marcel Paps waited until the beginning of lap 19 to pit and finds himself P12 in no man's land, which is probably the worst kind of situation you want to be in here in Austria, because everybody from Hudson Poole and onwards are going to be fighting it out as we see in turn 4. And oh, there was an incident. What happened? It looks like it was Marc-Olivier Bastien who's made a little bit of a contact there. And who lost that with him? I believe it was Dougie Falcons. Dougie Falcons is now P12, losing a position to his teammate. And that opens the door officially for Quentin K, who is technically now a net P2. Cam Bourne is the next driver going into the pits. He's going to drop back and probably be behind Marcel Paps in P12, maybe even P13. And now we are here at the beginning of lap 20. Hudson Poole is technically in the lead. We're going to say Ryan Newton is expected to go into the pits sooner than later. His hard tires are on the drop-off. He is on the battery too, so that most probably is his end lap. In the back, it seems to have settled a little bit. And this is probably what we're going to see for the rest of the race until the final 3 laps. I think. We're going to see how... if Quinton's paid attention to his teammate Shrai's race in Division 3. Ryan Newton into the pits. And so the lead switch will be made officially. And the tire strategy is completed. And I think the person who lost the most out of this entirely is Marc-Olivier Bastien. He has not pitted yet. Or has he actually? Hold on. Yeah, he's going to the pits. I'm wondering... yeah, he's got 16 laps on those mediums. That means he... those used mediums he went on. I'm wondering. Nonetheless, yeah, that incident cost him dearly. That is a new wing and new tires, and I think he's gonna go softs for 15 laps, which is a good idea for about 5 laps, and then you start regretting it. We saw the drop off of the softs on Dougie Falcons early in this race to be near the 8 to 10 lap mark. So we might expect the same thing here. So, you know, Macarivier is going to try to get as much pace as possible, get back into the race. But that is absolutely catastrophic for him, who's actually making a push to claim P2 from Eric Cavallo. Eric Cavallo currently, who is P4. If you take a look at it real quickly, let me pull up the Division 1 standings real quick here. Yeah, look at this. Eric Cavallo at 122 points. Marc Olivier at 101. Cam Bourne has actually slipped into P3 at 103 points. Really interesting from Cam Bourne, as we're seeing Eric Cavallo make a move on Nick Pichet. He's got the inside in turn 4. Gets a little bit on the battery. He's got the sufficient space. He's got a car's length ahead of him. And that is a podium position so far for Era. Nick Pichet drops down to P4. Looks like Nick Pichet is a lot more patient on his battery usage so far. We're on lap 23 starting now. Hudson Poole is in the lead, followed closely by Quinton Kay. He's not going to get on the battery here, but with the DRS and the slipstream, that might give him the opportunity to go on the inside of Hudson Poole. He's thinking about it, but he's not going to make an overly aggressive move. It's not necessary. However, Nick Pichet has made a move on the inside of Eric Cavallo. He's fighting it out. He wants his podium position back. He's going to try to get on the inside of Era, and Era's going to try to cover him off from him as much as possible, which kind of triggers a small contact, a small push on his rear wing. Nick Pichet slots in behind him, stays in P4. And so both drivers fighting it out. Marc-Olivier Bassin claiming at a 105.002, the fastest lap of the race on fresh softs. Unless a safety car comes into play and drivers get into fresher softs, I believe that's going to be it for him for the fastest lap. Don't expect it to come in anytime soon for the rest of the race. Brennan Bechtel, P5, followed by his teammate Cal Blevins. One thing I don't want to say surprised, because I don't want to undercut the talent here in Division 1, but it is track penalties. At the exception of Red Pass with a 9-second time penalty, only 3 drivers have got a 3-second time penalty. Cube, Doan, Altmaier, which is a lot less than we've seen previously in Division 3 and Division 2. The record being held by Logan PSQ, I believe, with an 18-second time penalty for track limits. So if you get 3 warnings for time penalty, that means you gotta do the math. 18 times 3, that is the number of times that young man went off track. Was I paying attention to the switch in the lead? Absolutely not. It's Quinton Kay in P1. What do you know? Quinton Kay takes the lead, which he had. He clearly has the pace here in Austria. He had that lead in the sprint race. Lost it after not using the right battery strategy. Got himself into too much traffic. Got a little bit too squozen between Pichet and I believe there was Carvalho. And now he's back in P1 after having dropped down the grid and from P11. Claimed a couple positions of sprint. And that is P1 for him. And now he's got to defend from Hudson Poole with a little over 10 laps to go. There was a momentary sector flag, by the way, in the rear, but that's Stellar's Repass losing it in turn 1. And our young man here, Nathan Doan, using a lot of battery to keep on the pace. He's now P12. Dougie Falcons as well is P13. And so both of them are fighting it out on track. Normally, under normal circumstances, you would see these two drivers at the front of a grid in Division 2. However, Dougie is only reserving in the Ferrari. His full-time seat is in Division 2 for Red Bull. And Nathan Doan, with a switch having been made this week in the McLarens between him and his teammates, so he is in Division 1 for the rest of the season, and Major Castman in Division 2 for the rest of the season. Another position switch has been made for the lead. Hudson Poole in front of Quinn and Kay. Eric Cavallo tried maybe getting on the inside of Quinn and Kay, who's got to defend from that. Kept it clean so far. Most drivers, the top two drivers, have been recharging their batteries as well, and they're going to be keeping it for as much as possible. And there was also a position switch earlier between Brendan Bechtel and Nicolas Pichet. Well, it looked like there was a bit of a moment there. I don't know if that was a momentary desync, but a little bit of a moment for Hudson Poole, who almost lost it. Looks like he just caught it in time, and so I think that triggered a little bit of a chain reaction between drivers behind him having to adjust, and that may have triggered Eric Cavallo's 3-second time penalty, and that one hurts him because look at how close it is between him and the drivers behind him. And Hudson Poole and Quinton Kay look like they're playing the waiting game, because I'm quite sure Quinton had the opportunity to make an overtake work. He's probably trying to make it wait for this corner to make it happen. It doesn't. And so Hudson keeps the lead. Quinton keeps P2. And Era's still using a lot of battery to do I don't know what. He's probably defending from Brendan behind him or trying to attack Quinton Kay. It's not working either way. Well, I guess it is working in, in the defensive mode. But now he's looking at half the battery usage than most of his rivals. Magnussen Cube, by the way, he's reclaimed P6, the position in which he had started with in the race. He's dropped down past P10. I think it was P11 at some point. And after the tire strategies, he's currently P6. The hard tire runners. So the strategy from medium to hard seems to have been working much better. Magnussen, as I say this, he lost momentarily a position to Cal Blevins in P3. Quinton Kay claims the lead. He's on the inside of Hudson Poole now. We're on board with Magnussen Cube on the outside of Nicolas Pichet. You try making potentially a move through his on the outside here in turn 4. Doesn't make it happen. Keeps it clean though, and so we're back with Magnussen Cube in P6. So almost lost a position to Cap Levins, almost gained a position on Nick Pichet, but in the end, he is still in P6. A new race leader once again. It is Quinton Kay in P1. We all know it's not going to last very long. However, one thing's for sure that's not going to last for much longer is this race. We're on lap 29 of 36. And so the pressure might be starting to get to these drivers. So far, we're looking at Quinton Kay, Hudson Poole, and Era. And whoa, what is going on there? Was there a contact or something? I just saw boards go flying. Hudson Poole just had a little bit of a moment there. Not quite sure if there was a bit of a tap with Eric Cavallo. That is for sure. Funerals will be held tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for that DRS board, or that braking board, whatever board that was. For a moment, I didn't think it was a board. I thought it was his front wing. Looked like a very close call for him, or pure desync on my end. Who knows? As we've seen earlier with a couple other drivers. Eric Cavallo could be losing. If he's losing now 3 seconds due to that penalty, he could find himself going as low as real quick P7, I think. Maybe even P8, and all that from a 3-second time penalty, which doesn't seem like a lot, but given the fact that the top 10 drivers are so close together, or the top 8 officially are so close together, well, that can happen. It's Brandon Bechtel who tried to get on the inside of Eric Cavallo. His wing was in front of his in front of the Carvalho's for a little moment there, and that didn't work out for him. Didn't get the throttle on early enough, and so Carvalho keeps his podium position, but is now under pressure by the Red Bull driver, and with Bechtel trying to push and using some ERS, you could expect Nick Pichet, who's got a lot more battery usage at his disposition, to maybe start pushing as well. With 6 laps to go and starting in just 2 corners. Every lap as that passes, this is like a ticking time bomb. Do not expect these drivers to be keeping within their DRS trains for much longer. Some drivers are going to get more and more impatient, and the more patient they get, the more they're going to try risky moves, and that is where the action comes here in Austria. Stay tuned, everybody, because this is just the beginning. Nick Pichet maybe looking out to the inside of Brendan Bechtel. That doesn't happen for him. Let's try to catch the first driver, who's going to start getting a lot more aggressive here. Quinton K has got to use a little bit of battery. I suspect Hudson Pool has higher top speed than the Haas in front of him. And so the Haas driver has got to use a bit of battery to defend. And as we speak, I'm thinking Carvalho might be the one that's going to get aggressive sooner than later. He's been trying to make a couple moves work. He's had to defend. And I think the fact that he's got a Red Bull behind him pushing for a position, for a podium position, he might try to put Hudson in that risky position of losing the podium instead. Lap 32 begins. It is a DRS train. It looks like Ryan Newton and Cam Bourne have caught up to the DRS train officially. And so from P1 to P10, it is a long DRS train. And then in the back, it is... Oh, looks, somebody's around. It's Marcel Pabst. I was looking at the timing boards here. I didn't catch if there was a contact, but he seems to have lost it in turn 3 and lost a couple positions. Quite a number of positions, actually. I believe he was P8, and now he's dropped down to P10. Out of the DRS train from the top 10 in this situation. Back in the lead with only 2/10 ahead of him is Quinton K. Lap 33. It is Quinton K in the lead. Back in the lead. Hudson Pool P2. Eric Carvalho rounds up the podium positions for now. Things can change rather quickly. We've already seen Marcel Pabst lose out a bit of this race with a spin. I don't know if it was initiated by contact or just worn tires here. Some drivers are going to start getting a little impatient any moment now. Bechtel's been using a lot more battery. Carvalho is harvesting his, actually. Nick Pichet, who's been working extremely hard. Actually, no, this is Cal Blevins. My bad. Nick is practically full. But Cal Blevins is working extremely hard to stay within the DRS. I think he's not as fast as the top 5 currently. He wants to get real close behind Nick Pichet if he wants to have a chance at an overtake here. So he's sitting in P6. Let's not forget Magnussen Cube, who's behind him. Lap 34. I'm shocked at how clean these drivers have kept it so far. Let's get on board with Era. He is on the battery. All right, Eric Carvalho is on the battery. Is he going to try for an inside move? He's going to go wide on the outside. Hudson Pool is also going to try to make a move on Quinton K. Now Quinton finds himself sandwiched in between the two drivers. Who's going to come out on top? It is not Quinton K. He got hooked by Eric Carvalho, who had no chance of going by him from the outside, and that completely ruins both their races. Eric Carvalho drops down to P7. Quinton K gets relatively well away with this kind of situation. He's in P4. However, ultimately, if there's a driver you don't want to give the lead of this race to, it is Hudson Pool. He is now in P1, and behind him, the drivers who've patience finally gave fruit. It is Brandon Bechtel in P2. It's second race here in ZRL. His first race, he did win. And now he's looking at a potential second win because Hudson Poole, with those in the next 2 laps, will be most definitely in a vulnerable position. Nick Pichet as well, the reserve driver for Alfa Romeo, will be trying to make the best happen here too. Koinen K is not totally out of it, but he's been using a lot of battery trying to get back within the top 3. And the top 2, it is Brandon Bechtel. He's got the inside line. Does he have DRS? He doesn't. Hudson Poole claiming back the lead here before turn 4. Is Nicolas Pichet going to make a move on Brendan? He's on the inside here in turn 4. Pushing him as far wide as possible, but within the limits of the track. And they're going to go side by side into turn 5. And this is where they're going to be losing a lot of time to Hudson Poole. This is maybe working better for Hudson more than anything else here. Nick Pichet ultimately is going to claim P2. On the battery, he goes immediately. He wants to get as close to Hudson Poole as he can. And we're about to start lap 36. This is going to be an absolutely exciting finish. We're going to keep focused on the top 3 drivers here, because them 3, they're going to be fighting it out to the death, I believe. And that's almost not an over-exaggeration. Hudson Poole into turn 1. Nick Pichet is all over the rear of the Mercedes. The Alfa Romeo driver on the batteries. He's going to try to go on the overtake in turn 3 here. Looks for the inside line. Doesn't get the better braking point than Hudson. However, he's going to have DRS. And cuts off Brendan Bechtel as well. And so on the DRS he goes. Will he be able to have enough power to make a move happen here? It's not happening for him. It is absolutely not happening. And this is where it's going to get really difficult to make anything happen. Nick Pichet in P2 following closely. And there's another driver who's fallen down the order. And I think that is Eric Cavallo once again. And this time with damage into turn 4. Looks like there was contact. And he's losing it out, dropping down the order. I think that's another case of fighting too hard in turn 4. That's happened a couple times this race and in sprint race. Ultimately, it's going to be Hudson Poole. Around turn 10 he goes. And across the line he's going to go. That is P1 finish for the Hudson Hornet. Mercedes extend their lead in the constructors. Hudson Poole does the same win the Drivers' Championship. It is a race win for Hudson Poole. Great finish by Nicolas Pichet in P2. He gave it everything he had. He almost made it work on the Mercedes. It's going to be P2 for him. Brendan Bechtel, that is a P1 finish in his first race and a P3 finish in his second race here in Zero, showing off the pace and his patience. Great racecraft for him in P3 at the bottom, at the step of the podium. Just missing out, sadly for him, due to a contact with Eric Cavallo. Koinen K is going to come in P4, which is actually probably one of his better races this season. He showed pace ultimately throughout the entirety of this weekend. During qualifying, starting pole, keeping P1 for most of the sprint race, and ultimately fighting for the race win at some point during the race. But that's going to be P4 for him. Let's get past the little celebrations here. Going down the order, Cam Bourne. What a finish for Cam Bourne in the McLaren. That is P5 for him. Actually, let's make sure I am looking at the right thing here. Yeah, Cam Bourne, P5 for him. Cal Blevins in P6. Ryan Newton, great race from him, starting from P13, claiming 6 positions for P7. Magnussen Cube is in P8. The time penalty hurting him quite a lot. Marcel Paps, Eric Cavallo, Maxime Beaulieu, Aaron Altmaier, Nathan Doan, Dougie Falcons, Macaulay Bastien. A really terrible race for him, sadly, once again due to contact. Finishes P15. Serge Pass in P16, Paul Mariage and Jack Fletcher, both drivers who have DNF'd in this race, which given all the little incidents that we had, there was no safety car. And ultimately, with the sprint win and the race win, it's Hudson Poole that comes out with the maximum points this weekend. All right, ladies and gents, stay tuned with us. We're going to have our top 3 interviews. Hudson Poole, Nick Pichet, and Brendan Bechtel are going to chat with us. Most probably. Going to have to check it out with Hudson Poole. See if he's available. The guys know the drill, so let's see if we can get them in the rating room sooner than later. It'll be just a moment here. We're going to try to get Brendan Bechtel first. P3 finisher. We're seeing in the cool down room, we're seeing Hudson Poole, Nick Pichet already together. Probably having a chat about their race. We're going to give them a couple moments together. All right, so let's not wait for too much longer. We're gonna have, let's bring in Nick Pichet in currently. There you go, our P2 finisher, Nicolas Pichet. Nick, how was your race today?
I don't know what to say about the race. It was I feel like I've been a bit too neutral in the sprint in the real race. I wasn't aggressive enough with the strategy and on track, and yeah, I don't think I deserve that podium because it happened because of Era and Quinton in front their incident. But yeah, I'm happy with the P2 and GG to Hudson.
Yeah, it looked like an interesting race, and strategy wise, it was either sit back and relax and figure out when the occasion was going to pop up, and it happened for you with an incident in front of you with Era and Quentin K. Can you talk to us a little bit? What did you see from that situation? Was that just a racing incident, or what happened?
I think both guys didn't wanted to give a position, obviously, and they collided. Nobody wanted to. Yeah, like I said, that nobody wanted to give the positions, and they collided, and yeah, not much to say.
Yeah, it's definitely like what happened in the broadcast position. Most definitely, Nick Pichet, we're seeing you racing more and more often here as a reserve driver. I'm sure you've had this question asked from different team principals multitude of times, most probably from Red Bull at some point. Are you looking at for a full-time position at some point here in ZRL, or are you for now just reserving and having fun until the rest of the season?
I'm reserving for now, but when I'm gonna have the opportunity to have a full-time seat, I'm gonna take it.
All right, interesting claim from Nick Pichet. We're P2 finisher here. Nick, merci pour l'interview. We'll see you probably the next weekend. And
yes,
thank you for the race, and congratulations again on P2.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
All right, Brendan Bechtel is available. Let's get him here in our broadcast booth. Second race, second podium. You're back in an interview with me, Brendan. How was your race tonight?
It was pretty solid. I mean, I honestly, after qualifying and after practice, beforehand, I was not expecting a podium. So glad to come away with a, solid result, especially considering I didn't think my pace was nearly as strong as it was last week. So happy to get the podium. A little lucky at the end with some of the incidents in front of me, but just tried to keep my nose clean and kind of run my own race, and it worked out.
Yeah, very similar strategy call apparently from Nick Pichet. I just had in the booth with me who borderline claims he doesn't really deserve the podium given the situation that happened with Era and Quentin K in front of him. But are you satisfied with your race strategy? Just trying to sit it out and wait for the proper opportunity to attack.
Yeah, I'm happy with my strategy. Not perfectly happy with how I drove. Made some mistakes, so I had to use more battery than I was would have preferred. So it kind of put me at a little bit of a disadvantage in defending. I think that's kind of why I lost that P2 at the end. But is what it is. Like I said, I wasn't expecting a podium, so happy with that.
Really interesting view, Brendan. Now, next race is going to happen in Japan. We're going from a very fast-paced track in Austria to Japan, and the infamous S's in Sector One. What's your view on Japan coming up, and the kind of race that might happen there?
It'll be interesting. I'm assuming there's probably going to be more safety cars than there was today. But I usually am, more suited towards generally the higher downforce tracks, or at least I have more fun driving them. So I'm looking forward to that one. Haven't done a lot of practice on this game on there around Japan, but definitely ready to get some practice in, and we'll see how my pace is. Hopefully it's a little better than today.
Yeah, and just real quick, looking at the schedule, Japan is not next week. We'll have a week off, and so I'm not quite sure what's next weekend while we're having that weekend off. However, you have 2 weeks to practice for Japan, and so enjoy your practice there, and thank you for your time with us once again. Congratulations on P3.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, our P1 finisher, it is the Hudson Hornet. It's a near perfect weekend for him. Hudson, P1 sprint, P1 in the actual race. How does that one feel tonight?
It feels amazing, bro. This is probably the wildest race I've ever won because of what happened. I think like lap 10 or lap 12, I had 2 warnings, so I had to play it so safe, and I luckily didn't get a 3rd warning. Also, my headset almost died like midway through the race, so midway through I had to yell at my dad to come into my room and plug it in for me. That was pretty funny. That'll be on my stream. So yeah, man, like it was awesome.
Given the fact that the race, wasn't just staying in the lead, and being in the lead was almost like a game of hot chicken or a time of, hot potato, if I could call it like that, given the fact that the slipstream is so powerful, I think overall in the game, Austria especially, now you're getting P1, the guy behind you is most probably going to be able to overtake you again in a couple laps. It's extremely hard to run away with it. Nobody's done it across all 3 divisions of racing this weekend to just simply run away through without DRS and P1. How did you play out that strategy, having at some point Bastien, at some point Quentin K, at some point other drivers right behind you, ready to overtake you the second that you made the slightest of mistakes?
Yeah, the slipstream is so important here, and I was just trying to play it behind a driver, and being behind someone, you just gain so much ERS, and you want to be P2, you don't want to be P3, and sometimes a lot of the time during that race, P3 challenges you, so you got to use your own battery, and then you're fighting P1, and it becomes like a poop show. So it was just try to stay behind someone, and then towards the end of the race, try to overtake him. But yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Nick Pichet and Brendan and P2, P3 were telling me essentially the same thing, which was trying to play the patient game and finding the best of opportunities in front of them when a driver would make a mistake, or if there was an incident, as we saw earlier with Eric Cavallo and Quentin K. Now, moving on to Japan, we're not going to see the same kind of racing, potentially more safety cars, given the fact that in the S's, there could be going side by side in the S's would be a lot more riskier than in Austria, let's say it like that. 2 weeks of practice. What is your view on the potential race that'll happen in Japan?
Yeah, I am very 50-50 with Japan. I kind of like it, kind of don't like it. I don't really think I have a very good record there. Yeah, I doubt I'll win it because this whole season has been win loss win loss win loss. So I just won this race, so I'm destined to lose the next one. But yeah, Japan's 50-50. And one more thing before I head out here, I just wanted to make an announcement to ZRL. For next season of ZRL, I'm going to be the new Red Bull TP. Duncan is stepping down, and he said that he would give me the spot, and I'll try my best to do what I can with Red Bull.
Okay, an interesting bomb that's happened here. Bomb news, flash news, and that's gonna be something we're gonna have to ponder about for the next 2 weeks, and definitely we're gonna discuss about it in the next broadcast. Maybe even have Duncan over to, talk to us a little bit about this. But Duncan's stepping down. Has he mentioned anything as to why he's stepping down and giving you the team principal position for Red Bull?
I think he just wants to just try something different. He talked about how Audi might, or not Audi, Andretti might be coming F1, and as soon as that comes out, he'll want to grab that TP role, and also he just wants to try something different. He's been TP of Red Bull ever since the start, and he wants to have a different perspective on it, and I respect that, and I'm very thankful for him giving me the Red Bull TP spot.
Yeah, you've been in Red Bull since the beginning of your race debut here in ZRL. Now racing in Mercedes and continuing a dominant performance, and so quite certainly Red Bull's going to be in good hands with your knowledge and skills. Obviously, passed down to you, I guess, from the other people that you know with. I know Cody Lawrence is very implicated with Mercedes, and so you have all the tools with you to become TP in Red Bull, and I think Duncan's made the right choice. However, then it comes with a little bit of pressure, so it'll be interesting to see how the next season plays out in that regards. However, thank you for the scoop and that with that information. Best of luck both to you and to Duncan, and we're gonna see you in 2 weeks in Japan. And congratulations once again for your P1 finish.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you commentating today.
Thank you, Hudson.
Bye-bye.
All right, that is the end of this stream. Quite an interesting race. As predicted, the last final laps were absolutely hectic, aggressive, lots of battles throughout the entirety of the lap. However, the biggest news come from Hudson Poole himself, and we're going to have the confirmation, I assume, from Duncan McCamick eventually. Duncan McCamick, ZRL founder, team principal since season 1 at Red Bull, stepping down from his role in Red Bull, still remains as ZRL admin, but stepping down from team principal in Red Bull, and is now looking forward to a new challenge when eventually that 11th team joins into F1 and into the game. And so that'll be really an interesting thing to see. I think Duncan is a man who appreciates the challenge and who could definitely find success in that kind of challenge, most definitely. So best of luck to him in his endeavors, and best of luck to Hudson Poole, who now is one of the younger TPs in the team in the ZRL with Nathan Doan, and is most definitely able to take up the challenge. And so that's an off week for next weekend. Japan is only happening in 2 weeks' time. And so that gives drivers plenty of time to get some practice and some laps into Japan for the Japanese Grand Prix. And until then, well, I'm going to bid you guys good night. If you've not done it yet, don't forget to like and subscribe on the stream. The visibility is very much appreciated and needed here in ZRL. That is John Ranger signing out from this broadcast. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Good night, everybody.